What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're finally going to review some of the Victoria Beckham Beauty brushes that she launched kind of recently. I actually got these brushes a while back. I wanted to review them, but unfortunately there was a death in the family. I love my grandmother dearly and she passed away, so I needed to take some time for myself, but I'm ready to film today. I have about 7 brushes for you guys today. I didn't get all of them because they were quite expensive. Victoria Beckham Beauty is a luxury beauty brand. So as you can tell, my face is currently bare and I'm ready to apply some makeup with these brushes. I did do a B-roll for you guys so you guys can see a close-up of the brushes as well. And I have a few comparison brushes. I have a ton of brushes in my arsenal, so I actually didn't need any brushes. I do have some Sonia G. I have a lot of Refer brushes, and I have BK Beauty brushes to compare to. What I want to do is I want to go through these brushes one by one, and I'm going to start with number 11. This is the lowest number, so I'm going to guess that they are willing or wanting to add on multiple brushes, because if there's an 11 brush, at some point there's going to be like a number 10 brush, a number 1 brush, right? The 11 brush is the Conceal and Detail brush. So this is a concealer brush. I'm not wearing any concealer right now. I am going to pull up the website a little bit for this first brush. Here you actually see it cost me 46 euros for this one brush, but it is very pretty. All of these brushes are going to be created with cruelty-free vegan synthetic fibers, and the brushes are made of walnut handles. I know a lot of you guys were kind of disappointed for the walnut handles, and you guys wanted to see kind of the classic Victoria Beckham, like tortoise shell, this type of situation on the brushes. But honestly, I actually quite like the walnut style brushes. There's an ergonomic design to it, so they have these divots somewhere in the brush so you can actually hold it. This is a dual-ended brush. I know dual-ended brushes are in itself quite polarizing. Some of you guys hate it, some of you guys think it's great. I actually am on the fence. I hate washing dual-ended brushes because I can never like store it to dry. But taking a dual-ended brush on a holiday, for example, is something that I do like, because I don't have to bring a lot of brushes with me. I think brushes take up a lot of room. So having a few dual-ended brushes in your collection, I actually would recommend, especially if you are an avid traveler. For the care instructions, it does say that you can clean this with lukewarm water and cleanser. The walnut handles, you have to try to keep dry while washing. This brush has a flat end, which should act like a fingertip. That's basically what it says, and a pinpoint size for pinpoint concealing. Of course, I'm going to be using a lot of Victoria Beckham Beauty products. I have the concealer here. I have shade L2 and LM1. I'm going to use LM1 for anything on the face and L2 underneath my eyes. Now, what's nice about the little box that they come in, it does say what it's used for. It does say it's cruelty-free. It does also say that it's made in China, so it's not made in Japan. And with the fingertip side first, and just lay it down flat and kind of contour the eye a little bit. It is very small. It is very sturdy, so it's quite hard to the touch, not too soft. But for concealer blending, especially if you want to do some detailing work, it does really do the job. What's nice about this one is you can get really straight lines underneath the brow bone, for example. So that is quite nice. And it is, or it should be, designed for this product specifically, so for the Victoria Beckham Beauty concealer. If you want to do some extra detailing work, of course, you can use the other side. For example, I have a pimple right here. Using a little bit of the concealer that's on my face just to cover that pimple a little bit. The handle feels nice in hand, and I do actually think it works well for what it's supposed to do. My one criticism of this type of brush is it takes a long time. Like, this is definitely for pinpoint concealing. If you want to know my preference in terms of a concealer brush, it's actually this one. This is the Refer B05. Now, I know that this is a review for the brushes from Victoria Beckham Beauty, but the way I do makeup, I just kind of want to do it quickly. So a concealer brush that does pinpointing is really nice if that kind of fits into your routine. But I am a little bit quicker when it comes to my concealing. I want to get some coverage real fast. I want to have seamless blends. So I do like a bigger brush like this one. Here you see the differences of the brushes. This is much fluffier. This is a concept brush from Refer. So I don't know if you can still get these, but I really liked the black tip. I actually like that Victoria Beckham Beauty also went for a darker tip, because it's just prettier in the end, even after you clean it. If you have the white brushes, it's sometimes really hard to get the coloring out. So I actually do really like the color of these brushes. I do like the walnuts. I actually think it's quite stylish, almost like calligraphy pen. I like the black detailing, and I like this type of pinpoint conceal situation. I just simply don't think it is made for my routine specifically. I've made a few comparisons of brushes in my arsenal. The Morphe M421. I know that Morphe is sort of out, but you know, I started with Morphe like most of you guys, and in case you guys still have some Morphe brushes left, the M421 I believe was a concealer brush, and here you can see the difference in them. It is much smaller, but it has a similar shape where it is flat, domed, and it has a similar function, I would say. Another brush that has a similar effect in shape is the 21 by Refer. Very similar, less pointed than the Victoria Beckham Beauty 11, but this one is actually made for cream eyeshadows. Technically, you can use this for cream eyeshadows as well. It does say that you can use these for liquids. So maybe I'm going to use this in the future, not as my concealer brush, but as maybe like liquid eyeshadow, maybe lining with this side. In terms of the pinpoint side, now this is quite an interesting shape. I have nothing like this. I compared it to the Refer 03, which is just a smaller, like kind of pinpoint situation. You could also use for creams. There is also the Refer 23, which is a smaller version of the 03. And here you can actually see it is still not as fine tipped as the 11 from Victoria Beckham Beauty. All in all, not a bad brush. I do wish that they were made in Japan. I think that is just where the true competition lays. I think Sonia.butler, Refer, these are all Japanese made brushes. So going to China for brushes does feel like there is a potential quality difference. And that's no shade to China. It's just we all know, brush lovers know, all the good brushes come from a certain region in Japan. I think maybe because they wanted to do the synthetic brushes. That is the reason why they went for a Chinese manufacturer. But it is a very pretty brush. And if this is something that you think you will use, then potentially this might be a good brush for you. Both sides, it's not like they're hard, like they feel soft, but they're sturdy. It doesn't feel like the bristles are going to come off. I actually quite like this brush. I just simply don't think it's for my personal preferences. I am going to play around with this brush a little bit, maybe with some liquid shadows, but let's move on to the next brush. The next brush that I'm going to talk about is the 13. I did skip the 12, which is a singular brush, but I wanted to have something that I can use for the face, for powders and for creams, and this dual-ended 13 brush seems to be a multi-purpose situation. I hope you guys can still kind of get a vibe for what the 12 would be like, but I had to make some decisions. This one, same walnut handle, has a divot, which feels really nice in the hand, and there is a kind of very fluffy, flat, tapered side, and there is more of a rounded side on the other side that is a little bit more for detailing. Now these are made for creams and for powders, so let's introduce some creams and powders to the face, and then let's see how this works. It is designed specifically for the contour stick, so that is what I'm going to be using. And with that I mean they had the contour stick in mind when designing this one. I'm going to be using the smaller end of the brush to just do a little bit nose contouring and see how that works on me. Using the other side for the face. And adding some blush and highlighter just to see how creams perform with this product. So far, I do actually really like how this applied. I think it looks seamless and it worked well with the creams currently that I have on my face. I want to say that they are quite soft, so they don't really feel very dense. And for that reason, I just feel like they might be more suited for powders, even though they did do a good job. I simply don't know if this is my preference. So my preference would be something like the BK Beauty 109, which is a very densely packed brush, also synthetic fibers, and it's very, very sturdy. And it's also a little bit bigger in terms of circumference. Here you'll see it's just very flimsy, definitely feeling more like a powder brush than something like that's a specific for cream type of brush. Another great brush to compare this side to is this one by BK Beauty, which is the 113. This is more of a powder brush as well, also much softer but still much sturdier than actually the 13 from Victoria Beckham Beauty. So even though these are both powder brushes, you could already see this one is much more flared out from Victoria Beckham Beauty than the BK Beauty one. I would definitely consider this one more of a powder brush. So for, you know, experimental purposes, let's go in with the bronzer and see if maybe we can bronze up the face a little bit, going in with the smaller section and just kind of going over some of the cream around my eye. I have the O2 bronzer, so the second lightest shade. I believe this is the medium. I'm gonna go in with the fluffier side and use it around my face. Overall, for powder, I think it did a good job. I simply also have a preference for powder brushes like this one that are just, you know, equally rounded, domed, and have a nice circumference. These are kind of flat. You know, both of them have a tapered edge to them. They're kind of flat. Not my favorite brush in terms of powder. I expected a little bit more from this brush. So I don't know, it is a difficult brush for me to recommend simply because, again, it's not really hitting the mark when it comes to my personal preferences. It did do a good job though. So in terms of brush usage, I'm not saying like the brush didn't do anything for me. It did. I simply have a preference of brushes and I expected it to be a little less soft, a little bit more densely packed for me to use it with creams, especially because on the website it says that it's designed for the contour sticks. But I think for the contour stick, you might need a more tapered, smaller, you know, kind of nose contour situation that is less fluffy like this one. So I'm skipping the fan brush, which is the number 14. I never use a fan brush. It's just one of those brushes that I've had in the past, but I've never used it. It's just not part of my routine. So that one is an easy skip for me, but I wanted to go in with a proper face brush that's not dual-ended. So I got the powder brush, which is the 15. This is, I want to say, the biggest brush that they have. It is fluffy, it is quite soft, and I have a lot of comparison brushes when it comes to this 15 brush. It is sturdy, it feels big, it almost feels like a Harry Potter wand, honestly. Powder. Now, I'm a pressed powder girly. This one is designed for the bronzer specifically, so I'm going to use it with the bronzer as well, just one more time to see if maybe I have more luck with this brush when it comes to the bronzer. But I'm first going to go into my powder. Victoria Beckham Beauty doesn't have a loose powder themselves. I'm still waiting. I like going in with loose powder. I always feel like it's really editing everything on the face. I finally have a seamless blend going. I finally am able to set all of the concealing work that I did. It is quite fluffy. I think a lot of people will like this brush. I have a few comparison powder brushes for you guys to look at. So the first powder brush I was thinking about was this one. This is by Sonia G. This is the Master Face. This is one of my favorite powder brushes. This one is soft. This is not a synthetic brush, so you can definitely feel that. It's a little bit more domed, a little bit more rounded, definitely has a bit more body, a bit more hair to it. Like, you see how dense and how beautiful this is. The Sonia G brushes are simply GOAT. Like, it is, there is a quality jump here when Sonia G is coming into the mix. And I typically like this brush a lot for just all over the face editing and powdering. But this is just a really nice comparison to have, because here you can definitely see kind of how the handle looks, aesthetically how it looks, and definitely feel the difference between the fibers, the hairs, the bristles, whatever you want to call it. I actually think the Sonia G one wins over this one, but it doesn't mean that this one is a bad one. It's just a little fluffier than the Sonia G one and a little less soft than the Sonia G one. Comparison brushes that I have in my collection is the Refer 37 brush. This one was a great comparison because here you see that the Refer 37 is shorter and stockier, has a little bit more bristles, so it has less of that soft feel. But in terms of softness of the bristles, I actually feel that they're very comparable. The Victoria Beckham Beauty might even be a little bit more soft. The brush from Refer that I almost forgot to add into the mix, but is a very similar brush in my opinion, is this one. This is the limited edition brush by Refer. I actually forgot what this one is called, but this one is so soft. Also, longer bristles, as you can tell, and this one has more of a finger-like shape, so different shape. But I do want to compare the two because here you definitely see, again, quality difference when it comes to the fibers, but have a similar use. This one is some of my like tried and true possession. This is so beautiful. They actually sent me 2 of these, so I'm so happy to have these in my arsenal. This Refer one is a little bit softer than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, but it doesn't mean that this is a bad brush. I want to say that I did a really good job. I feel like it edited out my face. It looks a little bit more seamless, and it did a really good job in just dispersing the powder. So I actually like this brush. I think out of all of them, this is a brush that I will gravitate towards because powder is something that I gravitate towards. Like I use powder every single day. I like to use a little bit of concealer and going in with a pressed powder. Going in with the bronzer one more time, just so I can see how this works when it comes to bronzing up the face. I think this brush, number 15, is better than the 13 brush when it comes to using it with powder bronzer as well. This is a win. I'm gonna move on, but this is definitely one that I would recommend if you're looking into the brushes. We're definitely doing jump now. We're gonna go with brush number 20, which is the next brush up. This is also a non-dual sided brush, so there's a singular brush, and this is the soft blend brush. It is made to be working with the compacts that she recently launched. I did not buy the Bordeaux palette. I don't know if that one was ever available on the Victoria Beckham Beauty website. Kind of annoyed that I didn't get it, but these are going to be complements to each other. Now, I don't want to use all of the colors today when it comes to this palette. This beautiful color over here, it is the lightest color, but this particular palette just leans a little bit smokier than you would like. The brush is a little bit flat on one side, rounded on the other side, so it's really nice to just use it as your crease brush. It does blend out beautiful. I have no notes when it comes to this brush. I also feel like this is a brush that is really hard to mess up. And it does have a ton of competitors. The ones I decided to pour are the Sonia Worker Pro. This is a beautiful brush, also flat on one side, very tapered, a little bit more densely packed, so a little bit less fluffy, but has a similar function. This one you can make straight lines with. The other one from Refer, which is the closest one that I have, is the Refer B03 brush. Definitely similar vibes, tapered, a little less fluffy than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, but has a similar function. And of course the Refer 01, which is one of the more famous Refer brushes, very similar as well, a little bit less tapered, a little bit more fanned out, but similar vibe. So if you have the number 1 from Refer, you probably don't need this brush. But if you're looking for a beautiful brush collection and you like the walnut style, this is a brush that is just really nice to have in your arsenal. Like a type of brush like this, really nice to have. It's synthetic, it is quite soft, did the job, blended out well. I might have to go in with one more shade simply because I want to show you guys what this looks like. So I'm going to go in with the deepest shade very carefully and kind of tap it out over here. Not too much, so you guys can see how that blends. Soft, smoky, blends well. No notes when it comes to this brush. This is a pretty good brush. Now there is a Buff and Smudge brush, also an eyeshadow brush, but it's dual-ended. This is great for travel. It should work well with an eyewear. I do have all of the eyewears. I have a lot of products in my collection when it comes to Victoria Beckham Beauty. So just in case you are new here, if you are interested in seeing the eyewear video or the eye wardrobe video, I would highly recommend to go to my older videos or my Victoria Beckham Beauty playlist. I'm just gonna put the eyewear in Trench, which is my favorite one, all over the lid. Kind of blend it into some of the eyeshadow blending that I did just now. So going in with this side first of the 21 brush. This is short, very tapered, very structured, kind of densely packed. And this one works pretty well with the cream to just blend it out evenly. So this is quite a nice shape. It's small enough to work details with the eyeshadow look, but large enough to get some surface area going. So this is quite a nice shape. Wanting to go back a little bit with the detailing, going into this red shade and going in with the other side, which is a smaller version of the blender brush that we have just used. I'm using this kind of as smooth transition between some of the eyeshadow work that I did. Now I'm using the signature palette, but I don't want to have a very smoky eye. I really want the eye to be open and not too deep. In terms of a brush, I like the dual-ended brush. I actually really like this side, so the Density Pack side for the cream. I think this is a really nice little blender brush. I actually think that you could just have both of these because they're different enough to want both of them. This is a little bit too small of a brush for the actual like crease work, but you could make it work. This is a nice travel brush. Let me see if I have some brushes in my arsenal that we can compare it to. So this is a Sonia G brush. This is the Pencil Pro brush. I really want to say that the Pencil Pro and this kind of stocky side of the 21 are very close and similar. The Sonia G one is like just a little softer and it's less like it's rounded all around, whereas there's a flat side kind of to the Victoria Beckham Beauty one, but they're about the same in shape and they would probably have a similar function. I also think that the Sonia G one is really great for the under eyes, so I'm going to use this one for some under eye blending as well to see if we can get some under eye shape. Not bad for the under eyes. I still prefer this one for the creams, but it did a really good job in just shaping my eyes out a little bit. So I really like this side. I really like the 21 brush. Another brush that I can compare this one to is the BK Beauty, let's see, the 207. Very similar as well, kind of short, stocky, densely packed, but the BK Beauty 207 is just a little bit smaller overall and very rounded. In terms of the other side, I don't have a brush like this. I think the ones that I pulled were not appropriate for, you know, comparison. It is just a smaller blender brush and you can use any blender brush, but if you don't have it, you want to have a brush for travel. This dual-ended 21 is actually really nice. The next brush is the 22. This is called the Define and Line brush. So made and created for lining the eyes. There is a very sharp side to it. I'm always obsessed with brushes like this one. And then there's sort of like this kind of stamper, very small side to it as well. I like brushes like these. I like sometimes like having a brush for detailing work. I have some brushes in my arsenal that I can compare both of these sides to, so that's really nice as well. I want to line my eyes with it, so I'm going to use my Cocoa eyeliner and just going in with the angled side and seeing if I can maybe like do some line work with it. Going over it with the signature palette again, going into that deeper shade, seeing if I can use it with a powder as well. The other side with the same shade, stamping it in my lower lash line. It did a good job in doing what I wanted it to do. I did have brushes like this in my little arsenal, so let's do some quick comparison. The first one is one of my favorite lining brushes by BK Beauty, which is the 208. The 208 is much smaller. This one is a little bit more precision, a little bit easier to use, but it doesn't mean that this one was a bad one. It is a preference thing when you see them side by side. Another one that I like to use is an eyebrow brush by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the 14. I don't know if this one is still available, and here you can see also much smaller. This one is also very hard in texture, so it can cut the eye a little bit. This is much softer and gives a much softer look. For the other side, the one that I have that is closest to it is this rougher one. This is the rougher 29. They are almost very like, they're just so comparable, but the rougher one is more angular and a little bit more hard to the touch than the Victoria Beckham Beauty one. So the other one that I wanted to show you guys is this one by BK Beauty. This is the BK Beauty 204, which is fluffier. It's much thicker, less detailed work. Victoria Beckham Beauty one is doing a good job in, you know, giving me some good shapes of brushes to create a full eye look. I actually do really like how these eyes came to be. I'm gonna put on some mascara and then we're gonna move on to lips. For lips, I did get the Lip Definer Trio. This is a limited edition trio. I ended up getting it because, you know, I'm a big fan of Victoria Beckham Beauty. So there are these 3 beautiful colors. They all look very similar, but they should all be beautiful nudes. I believe one of the nudes I have, which is like the Definer 2, mine is small, almost finished. So let's put Definer 2 over here and see if these colors are similar. What is this one? This should be Lip Definer 1.5. Ooh. Okay, 1.5. I did not look at the colors, guys, so lighter than 02. This should be 02, so this should be my second one. These two should be the same shade, and I can confirm they are the same shade. So 02 I have already. I wish they didn't do a repaint shade. And then you have shade 0.25. This should be the deepest one. Not the deepest one. Okay. Here's the thing. They all look alike. Look, Victoria Beckham Beauty, I get it. I get that, you know, you want to go into the nude business. Yeah, Lisa Eldridge did it. I think that Charlotte Tilbury has some really great nudes as well. Farah Media is doing some really great nudes as well. So I get it. You want to come out with some nudes. These are not very friendly for many skin tones. I do really like them, but they are very similar. I don't even know what to wear. I'm going to go with the shade 0.25 or 2.5. What I want to do is I want to first line the lips and then diffuse it with the lip brush. Let's go in with the lip brush. This is a miniature obsession of mine. I love a good lip brush, and my requirements for a lip brush is that it should be able to fold out and fold in. So if I'm going to travel with it, I don't want my brush to just make everything dirty. And I want it to kind of fit and extend the brush like this one. So it's doing, like, it's hitting all the marks. I also want the bristles to be dark because lip brushes, if I'm using something that is red, if it's a white lip brush, I'm always going to stain it. So right now, really hitting all the marks. This is always a very like hardened brush. It should be very hard because you're going to use it to diffuse your lips out. Now, this is the deepest color, and unfortunately, guys, with these colors, I can barely tell what I'm doing. So I'm going to go in with a lip palette. This is typically why I would use a lip brush. This is by Farah Media, and this is the shade Nude 2. I go in with this palette and see how this lip brush performs. In case you wanted to know, Nude 2 from Farah Media, this is what that looks like. So it is very similar to all of these lip liners. With a lip brush, you can get some detail works, you know, near your cupid's bow. It is densely packed. It works well. I like the design of it. I like that it's travel friendly. I like this brush. I was on the lookout for a good lip brush, and this is a very good one. One that I have is from a Dutch brand called Low Care. Has a similar like system, really easy to store. My one but with Low Care is that they use the lighter bristles, so mine has been tainted and stained red, and I simply don't like that. I think that aesthetically it's very unpleasing to the eye. So I'm a big fan of this lip brush. I think it works well. My lips look good, they look sharp, and this is the final look using all of the brushes. Overall, guys, the brushes, I think that the brushes are good quality. They feel nice. I see the vision. I actually don't hate the walnut design that some of you guys hate. I think it is classy looking. It is a little bit off-brand, but not too much. And there's some good, like there's a good variety of brushes here to really, you know, create a good look for, you know, every single day. There's also a good variety of brushes that are just singular, but you also have the dual-ended, of course. Not all of the brushes fit in my routine. So keep that in mind if you're excited to buy brushes. What is your routine like, and does anything fit? Because I do feel like if there's a demand, they will probably expand on the brush line because they're missing a lot of numbers. You could potentially wait, you know, potentially wait for a sale, or potentially wait for brushes that are actually more to your needs and to your liking. The brushes that are missing the mark a little bit, I thought the number 13 was probably one of the ones that Although it worked, I wasn't sure what to do with it. It's just not really for me. And same goes for the concealer brush. I need a concealer brush that's just a little bit less pinpoint concealing and a little bit more of like on the go, like woman on the go type of concealing. But they're definitely like the eyeshadow brushes were definitely a hit for me. And I also really liked the Big Daddy, the number 15, which just ended up being a very good multi-purpose powder brush. I am a little bit disappointed that they decided to manufacture these in China. I just wished that they went for the Japanese style because these are quite expensive. I guess because they are going to the cruelty-free route and the synthetic fiber route, maybe that's why they did it. But I was a little bit disappointed in reading that they were made in China. This is definitely a launch that you guys need to decide whether or not to participate in or potentially wait on a sale. I don't know if these are gonna go on sale, by the way, when the sale time comes. I hope that they do. Victoria Beckham Beauty. For now, my biggest recommendations are probably going to be the lip brush. I think that this is a well-performing lip brush, easy to travel with. The powder brush I really enjoyed. I also really enjoyed the liner brush. I thought was kind of fun to have in your arsenal. And the fluffy blender brush for the eyes. So we got the 20 and 22 for the eyes. We have for the face brush, the number 15 that I liked, and for the lip brush, I believe it's the number 30. These are all brushes that I would recommend. Guys, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. I bet this was a long sitting, but I hope you guys liked it. Please make sure to thumbs it up if you did like it. It would really help me with the algorithm. I'll put all of my affiliate links down below. Sale season is usually around Black Friday, but I'll keep you guys posted in the community tab if there's any sale going around. If you like Victoria Beckham Beauty, please watch my Victoria Beckham Beauty playlist. I just, compiled all my Victoria Beckham Beauty videos. I know some of you guys are really big fans of the brand. And if you want to deep dive into the rabbit hole of this brand, please make sure to subscribe to my channel because I like to do a deep dive into this brand. I've been following this brand since the start of my channel, and I'm planning to still follow them religiously for the coming years ahead. I want to thank you guys again all so much for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful, happy, and healthy day, and I'll see you guys the next time. Bye!